So the best way to explain it is try to do a kettlebell swing without wrapping your thumbs. You are the kettlebell on the rig.
All right, guys, welcome. It is a Built by Vitality podcast. I am Steve Pinkerton. I'm sitting next to Philip Lewis, and we have a special guest.
Yes.
Pam Gagnon's here with us.
Yep.
And Pam is like the gymnastics guru. Before I let her get into this, you see those memes that it's like what you think you look like and what you actually look like?
Yes.
I find myself envisioning that with every gymnastics movement that I do, whether it's a muscle up, whether it's bar muscle ups. I see Pam and I look at how amazing she looks when she does it. Her toes are pointed. Everything's perfect. That's what I think in my head it looks like. And then what we can do is then we'll film me and
playback footage. We don't look like that.
Side by side.
It's a little different.
Yeah.
It's a little different.
You're a little taller, I'm just going to say.
But Pam is, I've known Pam for a long time, probably close to 10 years.
Yeah.
And she has a huge gymnastics background. She got involved. She was teaching CrossFit gymnastics. She still teaches CrossFit gymnastics, a little bit different now.
Yeah, got it.
But why don't you talk us through kind of the evolution of Pam from your gymnastics background to then your competition background to the years you had with Rising, and then the transition into what you're doing now, more of like this personal business that you've created, and now you're at CrossFit Weddington. You can kind of explain this, because I haven't seen you in forever. So now this is like a little catch me up.
Well, thank you for having me sit down with you guys.
Yeah.
You saying that is just aging me because the journey sounds very long. So yes, I've had 4 decades plus, which I feel lucky to have. So I started gymnastics at age 6, and it just kind of fell into my lap. We had this huge unfurnished room in our house, like the old school living room, dining room that were all attached, and no furniture. And I was just, being a kid and playing around and splits and cartwheels. Nobody had taught me. And my mom was like, maybe we should get you in gymnastics, and fell in love day one with it. And from 6 all the way through the collegiate level, I really, focused on the sport of gymnastics.
Where'd you go to college?
Rutgers University.
Rutgers.
Jersey. Woo woo.
I love it.
And so my dream was always to do collegiate gymnastics. I'm so lucky that I was able to do that. I think collegiate is very different than club. There's just a team dynamic more than the club gymnastics, which is a much more individualized kind of journey. So I have great memories of being a gymnast at Rutgers, and made great friends, of course. And then when I graduated, I remember my last gymnastics meet, senior year. In my head, I said to myself, I will forever try to be able to do all 3 splits and a stalder press to handstand, which is one where you're sitting on the ground in a straddle. And I've kept my promise. I'm age 46, and I've kept my promise so far. So
I can't believe, we talked about it before. I still cannot believe that you are 46 years old. I can't believe it. It must be gymnastics. Maybe that will reverse my hairline and have everything.
You'll totally grow your hair back once you start becoming a gymnast.
Well, part of that, I guess, gymnastics, mobility and stuff, as you get older, it's probably more important to almost be mobile and be able to get around and do things than to pick up 500-pound deadlift. So if she keeps doing that, you can tell it pays off.
It's so true, but I also am so lucky to have founded CrossFit, which allows me to pick heavy stuff up.
You still pick stuff up. You can do both. It goes together, and your diet, obviously. Yeah.
Exactly. So, so when I graduated college, that was my goal, and then I felt really lost. I graduated college in. Let's see, 1996. Philip, were you even born then?
I was. Okay. I was like 12 or something.
Spencer was like 6 years away.
Spencer was negative.
Oh, God, seriously. So, I didn't really know what to do. I played a little tennis, but everybody wanted to just chit chat. Nobody was competitive. My friends went to the Globo gyms. And then in 2000, like middle 2010, I was introduced to The Room, it was called, at the JCC in Charlotte. And so it was a small little room, and they had, you know, a rig up, a small rig, and a rower. Not even a barbell at that point, just dumbbells. But they were following this thing called CrossFit. And so I walked in, and they're like, hey, this, you know, welcome, this is what we're going to do. We're going to do, like, pull-ups and some kettlebell stuff and some wall balls. And I was like, sure, I'm in, you know. And it was the first time I had swung from, like, the bars since college. And I immediately fell in love, and I also thought it was the worst thing ever, which I'm sure everybody has had that experience, their first workout and WOD. They're just like, why did I do that? But I'm coming back tomorrow. Yep. And I wasn't really introduced to the bar. I was there for about 6 months, and then I found CrossFit Charlotte and was introduced to the barbell and really started competing. So that was 2011, which was the first Open. Mm-hmm. And I actually did qualify for the first Open. And Andy Hendel, who was the owner of CrossFit Charlotte, I had no idea what I was doing. And he was like, you're going, you know, you qualified. I was like, where am I going? What did you sign me up for? So it was terrifying. But I did feel like gymnastics had prepared me so much, because being such an individual sport and having to perform at at that one given moment, I had one shot to not fall off the beam. And so I had a good mental mindset to compete, like 3, 2, 1, go. This is my only chance. And I do credit, like, the sport of gymnastics really for my competitive mindset, I guess you could say. And 2011 just kind of started this whirlwind of falling in love with competing again. I didn't realize how much I had missed it. I was terrible at squatting, like the weights. Obviously, gymnasts are much better upper body strength. It's still a huge weakness, but I worked really hard on it, at least to stay a little bit in the middle of my pack, you know, of masters athletes. So I ended up switching gyms maybe about 3-4 years later and headed to CrossFit Rising, where they had we had an amazing group of very highly competitive athletes, and everybody's goal was games and team regionals. And we practiced, 2 hours a day, 1 to 3, 3-4 days a week, and then more
practice. Is that what you're doing with us? You're trying to get me on a team? Just prepping.
You were the missing link we've been waiting for.
Now you're here. Yep. And ended up qualifying for the Masters Games 2014, 15, and 17. And I did regionals all throughout that too. So I think I had like a 7-year stint of regionals. I don't know, but that was super fun. Loved regionals. The games was definitely a different beast because it was more, it's individualized as a Masters athlete. And so 2014, my first year, was a good learning experience in hey, this is supposed to be fun, because that competitor in me really, I get very disappointed in myself if I mentally don't get to where I need to be. And I felt like I gave up on a few workouts because I was just like, this is annoying. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do 300 wall balls with the sun beating down on me. And I really beat myself up over that. And it took me, that whole next year before I went back to the games in 2015 and luckily qualified, to realize nobody's paying me to do this. I'm doing this for fun, and I'm doing this because I love the sport of competition and I love pushing myself. And I had to do a lot of soul searching, because I wanted to do this for the right reasons. And 2015 ended up being an amazing year. I have the best memories from it. Obviously 2014 being my first year at the games was great. And then I took a year off and then decided to go back in 2017, and I knew that was going to be my last year.
Yeah.
And I had accomplished everything I wanted to, I had so many great memories to take with me, and it just felt like time to find something else, find a new purpose. And that's really when I founded Performance Plus with my partner, Zach Long. And we started off just saying, hey, if we can just help a few people around the country, around the world, and understand like how to move better and how to perform better and how to break down a skill so they don't get frustrated and they learn the right way, then we're winning, you know. And we didn't ever expect the business to grow like it has. And so I can talk more about that. I know you want me to go into
I was just curious. I mean, you know, I yell at Philip because he just can't grow our audience very well. And I look at Pam, and she's got 230-some thousand followers. How in the world you launched this, and is it just content? What are you doing? How are you reaching all these people? Because I've seen all of your stuff. Mm-hmm. It comes across my feed, and no matter what I'm doing, I stop, and I'm usually like, I could do the splits if I wanted to, you know. But it's all very interesting stuff. But is that how you grew it? You just started putting content?
I had no intention ever of having a large following on Instagram. I started Instagram because I am a teacher at heart. I taught 4th and 6th grade. I love coaching. There's something that fires me up when that light bulb moment goes off for somebody. And I saw how frustrating it was for so many athletes in gyms all around the world, because I had coached CrossFit gymnastics seminars for 7 years, and it is the toughest portion of CrossFit to understand how to train your athletes. And so I was like, listen, if I can just put out something that somebody will be like, oh, I'm totally missing that portion. Like, everybody thinks it's from point A to B. So the muscle up is from the hang and then you end in support. No, there is so much in between A and B, and everybody eliminates that. And so if you focus on what's in between A and B, the final B will come so much, will become easier to that athlete. So my Instagram, I love being creative too. And so I would spend hours in my garage or at the gym just thinking, okay, if I was this athlete and I had this issue, what drill would make them build muscle memory and strength and mobility in order for it to click after hundreds and thousands of reps, mind you, because I practiced 4 hours a day of gymnastics, and you do hundreds of repetitions of the same drill day in and day out because it's all about muscle memory. Look at Bergner warm-up. That's what it is. And so, I just started to post that, and then I got great feedback. And then I was like, wow, this is like amazing that this clicked for this person. And hopefully my passion for coaching and what I do comes through in every post and every comment, because I smile from ear to ear when I get DMs and somebody's like, you really helped me figure out what I'm doing wrong, even if they haven't fixed it yet. And like, now I know I have to kind of take a step back to take 2 steps forward. And that's a really hard thing as a coach to say to the athlete, you know what? I don't think you're really ready for that muscle up, but I'm going to get you there. Athletes don't want to hear that. They just want to be like, hey, can you just toss me up in the air and get me there? And I think I've shown that through my Instagram, hopefully, that every step of the way is a progression. You should be proud of all of it. Celebrate every moment of that. And so maybe just my passion caught on, and I took a lot of drills and from my background in gymnastics and recreated them in the CrossFit gym, so CrossFitters could understand that you really need a foundation. Like, think about the games athletes. Most of them have a gymnastics background, because how easy is it for you guys to teach somebody who was a gymnast to like snatch or jerk, to get under the barbell, have that body awareness? So even if you never want to muscle up, or never want a high level skill, just learning the foundations of body awareness and spatial awareness will help you become a better lifter. Like, I think Olympic lifters should train body weight gymnastics movements because they will understand time and space much better.
Yeah. I think it's cool to hear there's a lot of CrossFit athletes, high-level athletes, that won't get an opportunity to align their passion with what puts food on the table. And you've been able to find that balance to where you can do both. And I tell my mom and dad this when I talk to them. I'm like, man, I'm so lucky that I truly love what I do, and this can be my main job. It doesn't have to be like a side job that I do, just because it's what my passion is. Because here's the thing, if you weren't able to monetize it, you still might be putting this some time on the side just because you love it so much. Well, now you don't have to fill it with fluff on the other side. This is your primary passion.
Yeah, I can guarantee, even before Performance Plus really grew, I spent my, off hours. I actually owned a promotional apparel business before I started Performance Plus. And so I would spend my off hours thinking of great drills because it just is my passion. I pinch myself every day, like how lucky I am.
Yeah.
Like you found a need and you met it, as opposed if I'm scrolling through Instagram and it was just you working out or you doing the muscle ups, I might just check your page out, keep going, maybe I'd follow. But like on your stuff, you're helping people to be able to do that. So then they stay there. They keep coming back.
Yeah,
which is good.
I think it comes down to like when I was a teacher and when I taught 4th and 6th grade, my favorite student were the ones who needed more confidence because I love helping people build their own self-confidence by just breaking stuff down. Like, even in 4th grade, if you look at a math problem and they were like, I don't understand this at all. I'm like, hold on. And we took it step by step and we brought out manipulatives and we started moving around the coins to show where the division was. And they were like, oh, I can do this. And I'm like, don't worry about the end result. Just focus on what we're learning step by step of the way. And that's, I guess, really how I teach the gymnastics movements as well.
That's good.
I think it's interesting that you can look at the athletes you coach, and at least now, I don't think people are as patient today as they were 10 or 11 years ago from my experience. 10, 11 years ago, I think people were more willing to spend a little more time to work on something. But now I think we've just gotten into this cycle, this hamster wheel of, I want it now. What can give me something that gets it to me now? And as a coach, I think you have this credibility to where people will follow what you tell them to do, where I think a lot of other people that don't have that credibility, they battle this because when coaches tell their athletes, hey, you've got to build the pulling strength before we're ready to do a bar muscle up or a muscle up on the rings. And it just takes time for that. And another thing people see is they see someone that makes it look very easy, and they're like, I should be able to do that. Well, no, we shouldn't be able to. But here's the interesting thing is then when you explain to them, I was explained when I was trying to get my muscle up, I don't celebrate very often, and I was like, man, that's pretty cool. And then the coach I was with, it was Carolina CrossFit, and the guy was like, yeah, what's really awesome is the gymnasts, they do the muscle up to start their routine. They don't get graded on it. You don't get scored on it. Yeah. And that has stuck with me my entire 12 years of doing CrossFit is, why would I ever be excited about something that they teach kids to do to start the routine?
To start it, yeah.
Because you're an adult, not in gymnastics, that's why.
But I just think it's very interesting. The gymnastics is such if you don't break it down, you don't have someone to break it down, I'm never going to be the guy that is going to be like, oh, you know what? Let me tell you exactly what you're doing wrong with the handstand push-up. I know the points of performance. I know it more than most because that's what was my Achilles heel for 6 years. But I can't relate that because my background is so different. Yes. So there's few and far between that there's people with your skill set that A, are involved in this, but B, they have a passion to want to break it down to people.
Guess who taught me to do a ring muscle up?
Who?
JB, Jason Bright. You know what he said?
What did he say?
You know what his tips was? I was looking at their.
bro.
Pull up,
No,
right.
I was watching somebody do it when I started at North Lake.
Yeah.
I said, man, what is it? He's like, oh, it's a ring muscle up. You want to try it? I said, yeah, I guess. I said, what should I do? Just get up
Shimmy
here?
up in the slot.
He said, swing like hell.
Oh, God.
I said, okay. I think my feet was above my head.
Oh, my God.
But I shot straight up in it because I could just
Right.
swing so hard. And I was
Yes.
like, what do I do now? He said, get down.
All
Get down. I said,
250
okay.
pounds of JB is
JB
going
don't
to be
need to
calling
teach
you
a
right
muscle
now.
up.
Listen,
Yeah,
he's
I
going to
know.
be calling you and be like, hey, Diddy,
Hey, Diddy,
why
come
are you
on,
talking
man.
about me
Yeah.
like that?
No, no.
Right. That's a good story.
Tell
So
me about Performance Plus. Oh, go ahead. I'm
yeah.
sorry.
Oh, I wanted to say something about what you brought up. So I feel that a lot of the reasons why athletes have trouble backtracking and building a foundation, or coaches have trouble teaching it that way, is because they don't understand the why behind it. So I think that, as you were asking about Performance Plus, I think that why my programs are so successful with Zach and I is because we tell you the why behind it all. So you're doing this drill because you'll need to, be able to pull down with, your lats into your hollow, pull before you go to support position. So once you know the why, you're like, oh, okay, I see a reason for that. And I think that they'll not buy into it, but they'll believe it because, I'm showing them exactly where this is headed. So, yeah.
I think that's the explanation part is so important, and I get a bad rap around vitality because I can be long-winded, is what some people say. But what I'm trying to explain to people,
They're so honest with you. I love it, right?
We'll put Pam on the email chain here, on the email list, and you be the judge of it.
Okay.
But I try to explain to people, whether I'm talking
too
to
kind.
coaches or talking to my members, is here's what I recommend and here's why I recommend
Yeah.
it. And but I find a lot of people they don't have the focus to it. Not everybody wants to know the
Yes,
why.
that is true.
And I think that is one of those traits of someone's going to be successful is they're going to want you to tell them the why. They want to know why did Pam why did she make me do this? Because when we were training, and you could probably see the same thing, we just had a program that we followed, and
Yep.
I didn't ask a lot of questions.
Nope, we just did it.
We just did it.
Yeah.
And
You want me to do 400 deadlifts and then 300 muscle ups? Okay.
yeah, we just would do it. But I think it would probably have been pretty advantageous if someone would have said, hey, Pam, here's kind of why we designed this the way that we did, and here's what this month's going to look like. You'd be like, makes sense. Cool.
Yeah.
Let's go,
Yes.
But there's not a lot of people that are eloquent enough to explain it and talk through it, or have the patience to talk through it. That's the
Yeah.
other thing. I think a lot of coaches don't have the patience, and maybe that's why you're finding that so many people are flocking to Performance Plus, because they know that you're going to take them step by step through it. So walk me through Performance Plus. What does this look like? How do you get involved in something like that? How do you attract new clients? What are they looking for mainly?
So our program is really our programs are really skill based. I teamed up with Dr. Zach Long, who is a doctor of PT, and as passionate about what he does or what I do is he's as passionate at what he does. And so we make a really good team, and we both are obsessive workers. So we work really hard to put out the best product. So it's skill-based, and they're, anywhere from 4 to 8 week programs. You can join as a member, and you have access to all 30 plus programs. And they focus on gymnastics, mobility, and endurance. So the gymnastics portion of it, like the PT part, comes into it more as like a warm-up, because it's really hard to do a great muscle up if you can't get into the bottom of the ring dip because of lack of mobility. So that's a huge factor that a lot of people leave out when they're training. And probably because it's not as exciting. It's not flashy to do that stuff. But we make it 10 to 15 minutes a day, 4 days a week. So you are able to still do your current workout schedule, and you don't get burnt out by the programs as well too. And we just take you step by step. I mean, I have a list. It's called our goals page. So if your goal is a toe to bar, there's like 6 programs, and it starts from the very first foundation and goes all the way down. So any athlete can start no matter what level they are. And then if you want more ring muscle up endurance, we have a ring muscle up endurance program if you already have strict muscle ups. And we've seen so many amazing, successful athletes go through our programs, and that is the coolest. Really.
I was at a course with Pam. That's a course with helping demo a couple things.
Oh, yeah.
And there was a group, lines of people were about to do ring muscle up. She said, Philip's going to demo ring muscle up. And she said, I did it, or I think I did it first. And she said, okay, that's good. You have do a strict one. I said, I got a strict one. She said, you don't have a strict one? I said, no, I don't have a strict one. She was like, okay, and you called the other guy.
Yeah.
I think
Robert.
Robert's like, I got it, Philip. I got it. I was like, strict? What in the
go,
world?
You have a strict muscle up.
I haven't done that in a long time, but she go on the spot. She's like, just do a strict
Like
one.
on the spot, I was just like,
I ain't
yeah.
That would have
doing
been
that.
great.
That was-
Philip gets up there and he's like,
Just pull
Right.
here and down.
Everything I preached and taught, you didn't have.
I went
and
straight
was like,
up and
holy moly.
Gosh.
That was great.
so how much of Performance Plus is individualized? So do you have people that, because, man, if I could have got on Performance Plus in like 2013,
Yeah.
Are you working individually with people as well to say, hey, I want a program based on this, and you build it out for them?
That's a good question. So every program comes, every single drill has a video explaining. Some of them are 10 seconds, some of them are 30, just depending on how detailed it is. So to make sure you are executing it correctly. But it's not a personal program. So you hop on just like you would, any other online program,
Yep.
and here's your program for the day.
Yep.
But our goals page really is built out so you can build your own personalized plan. I do like video analysis on through Performance Plus as well too, that you can pay a separate amount if you want a video analyzed and actual personal homework. So I spend, it's 4 pages long. I spend a crazy amount of time in detail on why you're doing the drills I'm giving you, what your points of performance are, where you should be, where you are. And so I have that as well.
I think
too.
over the years I've realized as I've gotten older that, every podcast somehow frugality comes up into this, but Philip's pretty frugal.
Yeah.
And
Steve made me frugal.
Yeah.
I think I've realized that you get what you pay for,
Yeah.
and so many people make decisions based on what the cost is of things. And I think that when you get past that and you just find someone that is very passionate and they understand it, it doesn't matter what the price. The question becomes, how do you really want to get better, or do you not? And if you don't, or if it only works if it's $19.99, then you're probably not ever going to get better, and that's okay. But until you shift your mindset to say, you know what, I'm going to go find the best person, because when I was trying to be competitive, I would have paid any amount of money for someone to show me, hey, here's what you suck at, here's what we can do to make it better, and I can fix it.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people, they just get caught in this, well, I don't, I kind of want it, but it's okay. I'll just, I think that's
interesting you say that too, because Zach and I, when we sat down to kind of start this business, our goal really was that we want this to be affordable for everyone in the community, or as many people as possible in the community. And so we really did price it out that way. So I think we get DMs all the time like, oh my God, the value that you get from what I'm paying is just ridiculous, and thank you.
That's awesome.
And so our goal is to try and reach as many people as possible, because ultimately for me it's about helping people. Like that's why I didn't really want to go into my own business. I could have started this on my own, but I wanted to team up with somebody else as passionate as I was, who can also share something that I don't know. I've learned so much from Zach as well too, from the PT side. That's not my expertise. I didn't go to school for that. And so I think combining that has been an amazing force.
Yeah. So when you break down your time,
Yeah.
between Performance Plus, between now, are you coaching at CrossFit Weddington?
I was right until the pandemic hit, and then I stopped. So I'll be back. But yes, I fill in right now.
Between those three, how would you break your time up between the gymnastics course, United Performance, Performance Plus, and
CrossFit Weddington. Yeah. So I just feel I just want to shout out here to CrossFit Weddington as well too. I have been in my CrossFit career to 3 gyms, and all 3 are amazing. And you at Vitality are amazing. So I just feel like we have the best community. I just want to say. And Weddington welcomed me with open arms. Corey Worf owns it. He's just a really great guy, an amazing coach, passionate as well too. Very knowledgeable, constantly studying. And so I just felt lucky that, I was taking a shift in my career from competing to just kind of going into just being fit for life and loving working out with people. And it was a hard transition. And they really, I found some amazing people who, were able to have the same passion as I was, and we just throw down every day, and it's super fun. So with that in mind, I work a lot. I am, shocker, an obsessive person.
Interesting.
It's like, Pam, when you want to do the podcast, she's like, well, I got Sunday at 12 p.m. I was like, midnight? She's like, yeah, or we could do 2 a.m., whatever's working. I was like, okay, we'll figure that. Let me go with Steve.
Yeah. So my kids are 17 and 18, so I only even have one kid in the house. So I'm kind of on the other side of life where I'm not driving anybody around, and it's almost a great time to build my business, being on this end of motherhood, because I can pour a lot of time and energy into it. Sometimes I definitely need to take it down a notch, but that's hard when you're passionate.
Yeah.
I really don't see it as work, So I work out I'm at the gym a good 2 hours every day. I'm probably shooting the, shooting the crap with some people, talking to people and stuff. But, and then because it's my own business, I have my own hours. So, I wake up in the morning, I'll do some videos in the garage, write some content, work on upgrading our, I'm constantly upgrading the different programs. So whether it's going back and rewriting some that I'm like, no, I don't really like how this is turning out. So we're constantly evolving. And then I'll go to the gym, and then I'll come home. It's been weird because of COVID. So my son's like home. So usually I come home when he's at school and, get a little more computer work done. Still have the household to take care of and stuff. And, yeah, and then
every time I see your videos, I'm like, God, Pam is in that garage.
Yeah.
Or, I was like, she's got to be in there videoing all the time.
Yeah, and
because that takes a lot of time when if you put stuff that
the editing
pops up on the screen. Like you're like, I can do this drill in 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Then you edit that video for probably 45 minutes. Like, oh crap, I spelled something wrong, or the caption. You're like, and you got to go back and edit it, tag people. That's a lot.
Totally. Luckily, I'm a night owl. So like I usually am up to like 1 in the morning.
Do you use something that posts? This is interesting. I was wanting to ask you this because we've talked about it. Do you use another app that schedules out your post?
Yeah.
I figured you would, because sometimes, say it's a weekend, I wake up, check my phone, it's 1 in the morning. It's like 6 minutes ago, Pam posted a video. I said, it is 1 in the morning.
Although
what is she posting?
I have to say, this morning I woke up, I'm no lie, at 5:12, and I was like, I think I'm gonna find something to post.
Yeah, sounds like it's random times. Yeah,
that was, but yeah, I do schedule it.
Okay,
out. I do.
What do you use?
I use Later app.
Yeah,
We
it's
use
awesome.
that.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I figured she had to, because it was random. It was a crazy time.
Philip is what we like to call
perfectionist.
Controlling.
Yeah.
No.
So I said, hey, Philip, I found this app, the Later app. It's really cool. He's like, ooh, I don't know.
I love it. Saved my life.
I kind of like just, And I'll come in here and his eyes he sits in the dark.
Yeah.
He moved his office into the closet.
We should be nervous. He's in the closet in the dark.
In the dark, and his eyes are like bloodshot red,
God.
all dark. I walk in here, look for him. I'm like, oh, he's not in here. He's like, hey. I'm like, dude,
in the dark.
We need to turn some lights on.
That's great.
So-
The reasoning behind that.
Do tell.
So say like this podcast, for example, if I import it into a program that I edit it loses a little bit of quality.
Yeah.
If I
know.
export it out of that program, lose a little bit of quality. When I put it on my phone, it loses more quality. When I put it on Instagram, they compress the crap out of it. If I add another step in there, I put it into later or something, then they do it, it's even crappier the more it transfers.
I
So I'm
feel
trying to
your
make
pain.
our stuff good. That's all it is.
I feel your pain because some of those videos, I'm like, woo.
You're like, it didn't look like that when I did it,
But
right?
right.
Yeah.
But what's crazy is
But it saves your
most people
time.
don't care.
That's what I'm saying. Most
They're
people
like,
don't
oh,
notice.
this is great content.
Yeah.
Yep.
I have to say, like, organization is the key to success. And I, shocker again, am very
I
organized.
love it. I want to see Pam's cabinet.
Oh, I know.
I want to see.
Bins, labels.
I love it.
gosh.
I love it.
But I have to say, as a mom of 2 boys, I was Legos all over the place. I let them be kids. And, at the end of the day, I was like, okay, if you're not going to use this tomorrow, let's clean up. But that was one thing, because I am a little bit crazy organized. I wanted to make sure my boys felt comfortable always at home to explore and just be kids.
Yeah.
So that was super important.
I'm working through that.
Yeah, it's
I'm
hard.
working through that.
I've stepped on so many Legos. They went through like a 10-year Lego phase. And it's fascinating. Like the engineering behind building the Death Star, is insane. And my kids would sit, they love math and engineering. That's just their mindset. And they would sit for hours and hours, day in and day out, just building those Legos, following the directions. I don't have the patience for that. And they were like, oh, I'm stuck. I'm like, oh, maybe Dad can help you. I'm cooking dinner. Yeah.
So you can help. Maybe Pam can help me. She's 5 or 6 years ahead of me. So I'm at a crossroads.
Yeah.
Charlie, she's 7. Oh. She currently sleeps with 17 different items.
Yes.
That she has to have. Mm-hmm. A lot of them are stuffed animals.
And we were there.
And I'm at the point where I want to just
put them in
call
your
the herd.
Fire pit.
Yeah, I want to call the herd and say, look, you get one animal, you get one blanket, and you get a pillow. That's it. Like, what are we going to do?
So here's my advice.
Okay.
When you think about it as a parent, what is your purpose for taking away all those animals?
Because my fear is at some point she's not going to have those, and she's not going to be able to sleep without them.
So now, way ahead of you in the age category. My oldest, when he was in 5th grade, tried sleepaway camp. Horrible experience. Very homesick. Guess where he is? He's 18. He's living in Israel for an entire year. They grow up. You have to be confident that you are giving them the tools to build self-confidence and to build their passions, and they will grow out of that phase. Some kids take longer, and that's okay. I think, like, being a teacher, I was able to see so many different developmental children all in the same 4th grade class. And some were well beyond the maturity level, and some were still sleeping with 15 stuffed animals. But they all eventually ended up, as an adult, and if they had good guidance, that they would, be responsible, helpful human beings. And that's really what it's about. Like, when I look at my boys now that they are truly following their passions, I just can't help but smile that, like, this is really what it's about. So you sleep with a blanket if, at 13, I'm like, but, I've hopefully their dad and I have given them tools so they can be productive, happy members of society. And if they're 48 and still sleep with something, Why not?
I can't sleep without
right?
Roxy.
Little did we know.
We sleep with, real pet dogs,
Yeah,
right?
I was like,
what's the difference?
If I don't have her around, I kind of don't sleep as good.
Yeah.
Charlie had no idea that tonight was going to be the night we called the herd. Now, instead,
Pam
Yep.
saved her.
I have saved Charlie.
Coffee with Pam turns into Charlie lives on with her.
That's right.
17 stuffed animals.
I would
that
like
track her.
a text photo of her with all of her stuffed animals.
I would think she would
So-
grow out of that in general. Anyway, when she got a little bit older, when she got in her teens or something, she'd probably like,
I don't know.
You and
use
I
all
are going to
these.
meet in about 5 years, and I'm going to get an update on Charlie and her stuffed animals.
Yes.
But you know what's also sweet about that is that she has care and compassion. Like, that shows me, like, hey, she cares about these animals, even though they're stuffed animals. And that's a great trait. So I always try and find the positive in that, in any situation, and also evaluate, like, okay, is this really harming anybody? Are they going to grow out of it? And parenting, there's no handbook, and every kid is different. So, you have to do what's right for your family, but
I feel like
that's
God
my
had
advice.
a sense of humor with giving me girls.
Oh, totally.
You know what I mean?
oh,
Like,
man, that's
Oh,
crazy.
yeah.
Actually, it probably, could you imagine if you had boys?
Oh,
I'd hate to be your son.
you are
That'd be
like
terrible. That'd be
You are
No,
one.
man, I guess I am. Yeah.
He gave me Aggie.
Oh, that's right. You gave you Nate Agnew. Yeah.
So I guess I guess we'll finish with.
Yes.
Tell me, we talked a little about this before we got on air, but I look at the gymnastics when I was trying to learn CrossFit, and I feel like there was so much more high skill people that wanted these high skill movements. Are you finding now, as fitness becomes more inclusive, that it's more of the basics that people are looking for, and that these high skill movements like handstand push-ups and ring muscle ups and bar muscle ups are no longer as relevant as they used to be?
That's a great question. So, what I find is that most gyms don't program the higher level skills because they don't know what to do with, 10 people in a class with varying, strength levels for a muscle up. But what I do find is that almost every gym that I've been to still has those athletes that, maybe in the background are practicing their bar muscle ups or doing some different programming. So people are seeing them in the corner of their eye and like, oh, that looks really cool. Like, I might not really be able to do that, but wow, how would I do that? So it's a little bit of both. And I think it ebbs and flows. I think, like, when the games hits and you see all these cool skills, people come back like, oh my God, I totally want that. Or when the open starts, I've gotten so many DMs like, I really want to get a handstand push-up by the open. So where can I begin? So I think that our community does a good job getting people excited to learn. And whatever that learning curve may look like is very different from each individual. I don't think it's died out. I think it just has taken a different form. I think that with the new CEO, and more inclusion, I think that we're going to see a little bit of rise in okay, maybe I can place 250th in the open this year if I just get string toes to bar together. Well, maybe not 250, but so I also think people fall in love with CrossFit because it keeps them constantly working towards a goal.
Yeah.
So once they get their strict pull-up, they're like, oh, coach, what next? And that's the exciting part. And I think that's what keeps them interested in the gymnastic skills. I also think they see a gymnast handle a barbell really well, and they're like, whoa, I want to do that. I'm like, all right, let's build some body awareness and spatial awareness and coordination, agility, balance. We'll get there. So then they're like, oh, I do need to work on that gymnastic stuff. It's not just flashy, showy stuff for competitive athletes. So again, when you throw that why, I think that it builds a little bit more interest as well.
You'll see me and Steve trying some of the, when I shot stuff for Birdie up in Amsterdam or wherever it was.
Yep.
I have some of those clips, and I'm like, hey, let's try this as a warm up. You got to see us doing some of them things. We do not look like, what was her name, Elsa?
Yeah.
We don't look like any of them.
I would like that video, please.
Okay.
You have kept that from me.
Okay. We'll send you a couple of those. Let's try it.
I get some really fun DMs of people who split my video and their video. And they have the best sense of humor because some of the drills really are difficult. I'm not knocking that. And, they just have a great sense of humor trying it.
So let's end on this. What is your 20-second pitch for, I guess Philip wants to talk about the full grip, the hook grip, not hook grip.
Yep.
What would you call
wrapping thumbs around the bar?
And before she starts it, if anybody from the gym is watching, this is why I say it. It's coming from somebody that is legit, way more legit than me, and it's a real thing. Like I never thought that way until I met you, Chuck, everybody else. I was like, it clicked. Like the light bulb went off. I was like, well, duh, why wouldn't I do that?
And what we're talking about is when we grab a bar, a lot of people, the majority of people in the CrossFit world will
thumbs
kind
over.
of go to this thumbs over technique instead of wrapping the thumb around. So
the best way to explain it is try to do a kettlebell swing without wrapping your thumbs. You are the kettlebell on the rig. You will go flying if you don't have great body awareness and understand my grip is going, I should stop. Or I don't know how to stop. I've never really learned a controlled kip. So I have witnessed people break their ribs because they've slipped off the bar without wrapping their thumb. So ideally, forget about grip strength and all that. It's safety for me first. And when I say that kettlebell, they're like, oh, shoot, that would be really scary. You're right. I would not want to swing a kettlebell without wrapping Try it today. Take a baby one. It's not fun. And with anything, it takes practice. Do you guys remember first hook gripping like the barbell?
Yeah, like 4 months ago.
Hurt? Wait, stop.
Pam, he comes over here.
Stop.
He's been CrossFitting forever, and we're watching him deadlift and do these do like cleans and power cleans, and we all looked at him and we said, "Hey, bro, you got a hook?" He said, "No, I don't do that. My grip's really strong." I said, "Excuse me?"
I said, "I have a man grip. I don't need to grab my thumb."
Of course you did.
And they're like, "Oh, okay, all right."
I said, "Excuse me." So we finally, I don't know, I think Spencer teased him for 6 months. He finally made the switch, and he's like,
we were deadlifting. I never forget that day. We were deadlifting, and I picked up whatever it was, 300 something. And he's like, "Next one, try the hook grip." I did it. It felt like I had to look. It felt like they took plates off, but it was actually heavier. And I was like,
you'd be kicked out of like a weightlifting gym if you didn't hook grip. Right. And so remember like how sensitive your thumbs were, and you were like, "This is awful. This hurts so bad." It's just all getting used to it. And grip strength is a huge part of learning how to be better on the rig, and just hanging kind of with your thumb around in like a little bit more of an over grip is what I call it, or a meaty grip, and just hanging, learning how to just be comfortable in the hang before you even start a beat swing or before you even start a kipping pull-up. Just get comfortable with it. But it's truly, honestly, safety first is my number one rule. Second, you can engage a little bit stronger little muscles as you wrap as well too. So
I love it. Now we can say, "Hey,
I'm gonna use this clip just for
That's
Instagram."
right.
It's Pam telling you. You're telling Pam no?
You telling Pam? You can't tell Pam no.
Yeah. You DM me. I'll get a text you right.
Yeah.
So what's best for you? Is it Performance Plus? Is it Pam Gagnon? Where do people go to find you?
Yeah. So funny enough that you said that, because so you're like Pam Gagnon. I actually go by Pamela. The whole video. It's like,
Pam.
There's no Pam as Pamela.
Right.
Pamela. Way to go.
Me?
Good prep.
I transitioned after college to Pamela because I've always hated my name so much.
It's kind of like Philip.
Yeah.
You look up Philip in the dictionary, it means lover of horses. I'm like, what does that mean? I asked my mom, so why do you name me Philip? I don't like horses.
That's great. So it's at Pamela Gagnon is my Instagram.
Okay.
And honestly, I pretty much, unless it's a creepy DM, answer all of them. And I've got some real weird ones.
I bet.
Delete.
Oh, yeah.
At Performance Plus program is also our Instagram for business wise. But yeah, my DM is a great resource. And hopefully people just learn a little more and find that they can fall in love with the experience of learning instead of getting frustrated. And that's really my main point of all of my programming is like taking away the frustration and building confidence each step of the way.
And the reality is, we've seen the progression over the last 11 and a half years. People are slowly going to start to get beat down. And if you don't have the mobility, then you're going to be limited with what you can do. So maybe you can't deadlift as heavy as you need to be or as you want to be deadlifting, or pulling as much as you want off the ground. But guess what you can focus on? We can all focus on, have the same desire to have a 400-pound back squat that you want to be able to do the splits, the center splits, because I would imagine, I would hazard to guess that if I was able to do the splits, I would be my fitness would be better than it is right now.
Your recovery would be better too.
And I just think that
less injury.
It's how we frame our mind. We all want these sexy things, these 400-pound back squats, 500-pound deadlifts, but you don't hear anybody say, "Man, I just want to get my hamstrings a little bit."
Man, you'd be pretty sexy watching you do a split.
Can you imagine that?
I'm gonna throw you some drills so you can work on it.
Oh my gosh!
In 5 years, you're gonna come back with 3 splits, and Reagan's not gonna be in there. Wait, there's something. Wait, was that? It was Reagan.
That was Charlie.
Oh, Charlie. Sorry.
Charlie be doing splits and with her animal.
With her hands, right.
No, but I appreciate this, Pamela. It was awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. You guys are awesome.
No,
cool.